I would like to welcome each one of you that is watching. We are going to be busy with bookkeeping. So we're starting with Colossians 3 verse 23. If we have a look at this, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. So if we look at what man is doing in this world, man is trying to please one another instead of pleasing the Lord. And once you start follow this principle, I will always bring you verses in. I will speak to you about how to behave. If you're a Christian, it's wonderful. If you're born again, it's even better. But to follow the way of the Lord, it's very important. And the Lord here is Jesus Christ, Yeshua. I'm going to teach you today about the bookkeeping system. Many people don't know how to use bookkeeping effectively. So my job is to bring you to the foundation, the core of bookkeeping, how it works, how it functions, so that you can understand it better. I'm just going to wipe this off the board and I'm going to bring you into it. And you say to me, Esther, why are you teaching bookkeeping? I've seen your other channel. You can go there as well. Esther Badenhorst, Q Tikva for South Africa. And the reason why I'm teaching it, this is my talent. And a talent and a gift is different. Talent is what you receive as you get knowledge, you go and study, you learn, you want to go in that direction. But a lot of times people do not know who they're called for. They don't know their purpose. So you do it for the money's sake. And I really wanted to be an accountant. I wanted to go further in life. And it's taken a long journey, I would say 20 years plus, if not 25, maybe 30 years of bookkeeping has taught me the practice of, you practice makes perfect. So I'm going to teach you how I learned to understand how it all comes together. I said I was if you haven't watched my other videos, go and watch a lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and see how I let it grow up. If you don't know the bank, and I'm going to bring it back, the bank is for you and me, is the core of your business. If you know the bank, you will know every other account. Please remember when you do journals, also to think, if the money had gone into the bank, which side would it have gone in? It would have gone on your debit side. And if you look at your bank, you've always got a debit side and you've always got a credit side. All transactions have two sides in bookkeeping. Go and look at my other ones. It's crossing. You need to cross over. So if your bank has got a certain amount going out, it'll be a credit in your bank. This is in your bookkeeping system. That's not your bank statement. We will talk about how the bank statement reflects compared to the bank in another lesson. So I'm going to take you to nominal accounts, because many a time we don't understand nominal accounts. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a trial balance, and the trial balance is something that you will also learn in the process of understanding. I'm not doing this according to exactly bringing the alphabet with the different. I'm going to use, like, for example, I'm going to speak about assets, I'm going to speak about liabilities, but I'm going to talk mostly about nominal accounts, because it's very important you go back to my previous lessons and see how I've been training you. In your trial balance, you will also have a debit side and you will have a credit side. Now, what happens with the trial balance? Everything comes, and now I'm going to show you. You've got a debtors ledger. These are different ledgers, just like your bank. So you've got a debtors ledger. This is where your customers actually buy on account from you. And then you have a creditors ledger. This is where you purchase things on account from other people. This could be called purchases. Please go and look at my other training. It's so important so that you can actually follow this one and understand it. Now, if you take, we're busy with nominal accounts. I'm just going to write nominal here. You will not see this written in your trial balance. This is for me to explain to you. Okay, so in your nominal accounts, for example, you say to me, what is a nominal account? I love to look at this portion to explain to my students how to understand what is a nominal account. Okay, let's have a look. The nominal account, remember, There's no balance like with the creditors. There's always a balance. Look, there's a balance. So whenever you look at a nominal account, you will say nominal. Okay, does it have a balance? And your answer would be, I'm just going to make a column here. Always asking yourself that account, does it have a balance? Income and sales? No, doesn't have a balance. Salaries, does it have a balance? No, it doesn't have a balance. Does wages have a balance? No, doesn't have a balance. Every month it's a different amount. If I look at my electricity, does it have a balance? No, because I didn't buy it. I didn't agree to anything. It comes every month, a new electricity bill. I never know where it's going to be. And when it comes, I have to pay it, whether I like it or not. So I hope that makes sense to you. If you're looking at a nominal account, it will be something like electricity. It could be, for example, salaries. It could be wages. It could be depreciation. And if you don't understand what depreciation is from now, you will have a lesson on that. Just follow all my training material. Then you also have, you can have, let's think of other things that are going to be there. You will have your bookkeeping services. Which could be called secretarial services. Your accounting services, that's your auditors. Yeah, so let's just work on those few for now. Let's have a look. If we had to make an account for electricity, so that you can understand. When you pay, say now you paid to electricity, you paid 100 Rand. Remember, the money's going out, so it's on the credit side. Money going out, you made a check, or you did we don't use many checks nowadays, you did a bank transfer. Remember, it's on the credit side here. So wherever it needs to go, because you have a general ledger, let me just put the general ledger here, where all your accounts go. All your accounts go there. So if you had to say, I paid out of my bank to the electricity, in your general ledger, you will have an account called electricity. And because you're going to cross over, I think what we must do is we must rather, but I'm sure you will understand what I'm saying here. Electricity, and you paid 100 Rand out. Do you see, this is the debit side? All accounts have a debit and a credit. A debit and a credit. A debit and a credit. Even your trial balance. But have a look nicely how it functions. If it's a credit in your bank, that's why I said always refer back to your bank. Any account, back to your bank will give you the answer. If you get asked any journal questions which didn't go through your bank, think of how it will affect your bank, and then you'll have your answer. Let me give you an example. You had to do a journal. Let me just do that now as well. Just going to do a journal. So you're going to write a journal. Say now the owner put in money. So we will say owner's contribution. He put in 1,000 Rand. Let's have a look and see if he didn't put it in the bank, but he came and he started his business and he bought stock for 1,000 Rand. How would it affect him? He would have put the money on the debit side if he put it through the bank, but he didn't. Okay? So I'm just going to add here owner's equity. And I will teach on that as well. Not today, but I'm just giving you an example. If you had to have this as a journal that you had to put through, because some of you have got questions about the journal. So if this was money that came in, obviously, if it was the bank, it would say debit the bank because it's money coming in, money going out. Money coming in would be the owner's equity, but it didn't go through the bank. So you're going to make a journal out. And the journal will say, let's put this, and the journal is a little bit different the way it's written up. You just take this out so I can make space for that. You would have a debit, same, and a credit. I hope you guys can read because this red is now. I'm just going to use the black the whole time. Owner's contribution. If the bank, let me just take this completely out and we look at it. If this was the bank, just giving you an example, the 1,000 would be money coming in to the bank. Do you see that? But now, because it didn't go through the bank, but it came in as cash, you would not say bank here. You are going to show it as whatever he bought. Okay, let's see. Owner's contribution. I want you to see how easy it is to do bookkeeping, if you think, or accounting. The owner's contribution would be 1,000 Rand, because what he did, he would have put it in the bank, so the one side will be debit and the other side will be credit. And who are you going to credit? The owner brought the money into the bank. But he didn't put it in the bank. He put it into his till, for example. He brought the cash in. Or maybe he bought himself, let's take an example. Maybe he bought himself an iPad. Okay, 1,000. Or let's take a cell phone. He bought a cell phone. So we go there and we can say computer equipment. Just an example. Whatever he bought, he brought the money in. It didn't go into the bank, but he bought something for it, and it was the owner that brought the money, not anybody else. Even if he borrowed money from somewhere else, that's another question, another answer. I'll work on that in another lesson. But this one, he brought cash into the business. He put it in his till, so it affects him. And you'll see there is an owner's contribution where he contributes money into the business. But then he went and he bought something that was a computer equipment or normal equipment or fixed assets, whatever he bought, for 1,000 Rand. Now, how does it affect here? Let me just finish this transaction. He would have owner's contribution. Look how easy it is. Owner's contribution would have been in the bank to the owner's contribution. But because it's a journal, it is written owner's contribution is 1,000 Rand. So we go to the credit, 1,000 Rand. You with me? What did it affect? It affected computer equipment, but computer equipment is not nominal. Giving you some examples so that you can actually understand what the difference is. So I'm putting computer equipment. He bought something on his, he had an item that he bought. Say now he bought it for 1,000 Rand, then it's quite easy because there's 1,000 Rand he brought into the business and he bought it for that. It cannot be nominal. Why can't it be nominal? Because you'll see I've put the no here. And the reason for the no is because computer equipment always will have a balance because it goes to your balance sheet. So your assets is a balance sheet item. Your owner's equity is a balance sheet item. But this is not a balance sheet item. This is either, these are expenses, and then you also have income, and I'll explain the income to you as well. So we can actually just put in here, I'm just going to lift it up. Good. So now we're going to see how it works, and I'm just going to put electricity down here. These are nominal accounts because, like I was mentioning, if you look at how it starts, I like clues, I like pictures, makes life so much easier. No. Okay. Does an income and a sales, whenever you receive the money, does it have a balance? No, it doesn't. Why not? Because you receive cash coming in. It can be from your debtors that came in as well. But what you are looking at is it's new every month. Every month it continues to carry itself forward. And every month you have a trial balance, and it will have from here downwards, it has balances. Not just assets, you have liabilities as well, but I'm not going to go there just yet. I need space on the board. But if you look at your sales, for example, where did the money come in for your sales? Could it come from your debtors? Yes, it could. Could it have been cash sales? Yes, it can. So some people do it this way. Money came in, money went out. Always know with your bank, first your bank is always important. So we had sales, say, of 5,000 Rand. Okay, it's on a debit side, so where must it go here? The opposite leg, it must go to the credit side. So there is your 5,000 Rand for your sales. If you open a general ledger account, there's your general ledger. If you open a general ledger account called sales, which must be the case, or income, it will you're first going to go to the general ledger, and then it goes to your trial balance. This is a compact thing. This is working out the formula, balance brought forward or not. This is the one that says to you, can you see all my transactions? And from here, it goes to the balance sheet. All right? The balance sheet is this area. Complete writing of this, so we don't just have shorthand. Balance sheet. Okay. That's your nominal accounts. This is your balance sheet. If you look at your nominal accounts, they will be your profit and loss. So in the end, this will show you your profit and loss because you have sales less your expenses. Okay. Say now with your sales, you received the 5,000 Rand in. So there it shows a credit here and a debit in your bank. What happens if you have a debtor? Go back to my training material and you'll see there as well, what are they, what am I saying, how does the debtors ledger work, because I don't want you to get confused now. So I'm working with the nominal accounts, but go look at the debtors ledger. How does it affect your transactions here, especially with your sales? I'm just going to use an example of one, okay, of the sales. If you look at your debtor, where will a debtor start? It will always start on the debit side because it's a D. Okay, a creditor will always start on the credit side because it's a C. I'm trying to help you. Sometimes they call this other names, suppliers or something, but if you know a supplier is a creditor, then it's easier. Or a debtor is a customer, then you know. You just, in your mind, you call it what it is. You have got clients that bought on account with you, people that you went and bought on account with them. That's the difference. Now, you will always know it starts with a debit. Why does it say that? It is because if you received money in the bank, we go back to the bank. Follow me nicely. If we go to the bank, and if you want to, just rewind, go through it again. You've got the video. It's going to be easy. So if you received money in the bank here, where would... It's a debit that you receive money in the bank. So where would this start? It will have to be on the opposite side of the bank. So if you receive money here, you would have to put it on the credit side. So a debtor always starts with an invoice. It can never ever start without an invoice. And we're going to make that 2,000 Rand. Oh, 200 Rand, it's fine. Because if you look at a creditor, they also have to start with an invoice. Let's take, you go to Fushini's, for example, or Woolworths, or wherever you've opened your account. They have to give you an invoice so that at the end of the month you know what to pay. Let's see how it works. So if it's a C for creditor, it starts with an invoice, always. You cannot pay without an invoice. You cannot receive money without an invoice. Now, if we look at the bank, that's why I love the bank. The bank guides us to where it is. If you forget, D is for debtor. If you're in the exams, think of your bank. Where did the money come in? It came in on this side. So let's say a debtor paid us 100 Rand. So it's on the debit side. Where must it go? To the credit side. So there's, say it was Peter. He paid his bill of 100 Rand. Let's just do this. I'm not doing everything exactly like the accounting is. I'm trying to give you guidance. Let me just open an account for Peter, and he paid 100 Rand. So you see, cash came in, cash went to pay the account. Look at this, it has a closing balance. So if we look at it, 100, 200, there's a difference of 100 Rand. Am I right? So it's a balance. I was going to be working on nominal accounts, now I'm working on this as well, so it's okay. So if we look at this, we must bring the balance for the next month. We must bring it forward. There's a balance here. That's why nominal accounts don't have balances. That's the no. Nominal accounts do not have balances. Even if you get an electricity account, it is not something that is like a creditor you're going to buy from them. This is something that you have every month that comes to you, whether you like it or not. So if you have a look at your electricity here, let's say let's look at our data here. It would then come to the balance sheet. I'm just bringing this for you. I'm going to close off with this because go and look at my other lessons. Otherwise, I'm going to spend too much time. But this balance would be the one in your debtors account, and that would go under your assets. Oh, maybe let me just, I don't know if it's going to show. Debtors, and debtors is, the balance that was brought forward is 100, because that's all Peter owes. So it will be a debit here. That's all that is owing. Remember as well another thing, on your trial balance, a D must be a debit balance. Do you see that? Debit, credit. If this 100 Rand was lying here, you need to question why. Because it must, unless the person paid you more than they were supposed to pay you, it should never be on the credit side. This will also show you. And the same with your creditors. Okay, that's under assets. We're talking about, let me not go to liabilities now. But your creditors also. Creditors will always be in your balance sheet on the credit side. And if it isn't, you need to ask questions. Did you overpay them? If not, there's an error somewhere. Okay. And then they have to refund you the money, or they have to give you an invoice for that money that you overspent for some reason. It's an error on your trial balance if your debtor is not on the debit side or your creditor is not on your credit side. I hope I'm helping somebody now. It makes it so much easier. Okay, let's go back to our bank. Our sales was 5,000 Rand. Our electricity, we look at electricity, we're going to put it, paid 100 Rand. So an expense will be on the debit side. Always. An expense will be on the debit side. If you get lost, you go back to the bank. The bank is a credit, so then that must be a debit. And it must be a debit in your general ledger. Your general ledger is a book of everything. So it comes from here, it grabs it all into your general ledger. Every single account is in your general ledger, and then you condense it. It's a summary of what's going on in your general ledger. So if your auditors want to look and see what's going on here, why is electricity a credit, they have to go back to your general ledger to see what's going on. And if there was a journal made, they must go to the journal to see what journal you made, or if it's a debtor, they must go to the debtor's ledger to see what happened in that ledger, or if there's a creditor problem in your general ledger, they have to go to your creditors to see in the creditor's ledger what is going wrong there. So everything goes into your general ledger, be it a nominal account, be it your owner's equity, be it your assets, be it your liabilities. Let's look at salaries. Where would you say salaries gets affected? A salary is being paid, so it will be on your credit side of the bank, so it must be on the debit side of your general ledger, or taking it in your trial balance, it must show wages. Say that we have wages of 3,000 Rand, it must also be a debit. The same with, you see your sales as a credit here, because what happened, your money came in the debit side, so it must be a credit side. Electricity is on the credit side, so it must go to the debit side. Same with your general ledger. Whatever's in your general ledger, that side, debit or credit, must be a debit or credit on this side. Your errors cannot be seen here because this is a summary. Your errors can be picked up in your general ledger and taken you to the debtor's ledger, because this is, the debtor's ledger is in your general ledger, but it's a summary. So you have to go into detailed explanation, detailed explanation, detailed explanation. They are ledgers on their own, but they all come in here, and you're able to see the nominal account will be transactions. Maybe you've got many sales, so it will be many sales in your general ledger, but here it's a summary of what happened here. Making sense? The nominal account does not have a ledger. It comes straight from the bank into here. But it actually goes straight into your general ledger, and your general ledger then in a summary form here. Let's take another one. If you have a debtor and they, in this case, the debtor was 200 Rand was the invoice. Have a look nicely. The invoice was for 200 Rand. So it will go to your income, it will go to your sales, whether it's on account or if it's cash. So your 200 Rand will be here as a credit. Do you notice it's a debit there in your debtor and it's a credit here? All right. If you look at your sales in your bank, I hope it's making sense to you. Don't get confused between this, this, and this. Very important you don't. Bank is where the movement is through your bank account. This is, you bought from your creditors, your suppliers, invoiced, they gave you an invoice first, and then the movement comes through your bank only when you have paid. Same with this, people bought on account with you, only when they paid, movement will take place. But your invoice will go to your sales account, not your payment. Your payment shows here with your debtors what is still owing. Remember that. This is where your ledger is separate from your bank, because you need to start with an invoice, you need to start on an invoice. With the bank, you don't start with an invoice. The bank is either money moving in or out. What transaction does it affect? It'll affect a debtor transaction or a creditor transaction, or it will affect your nominal accounts and then also your assets, or maybe the owner brought in a contribution. There's much more to speak about, but I think this is enough for today for you to absorb. And then the nominal account, remember, there's no balance like with the creditors. There's always a balance. Look, there's a balance. So whenever you look at a nominal account, you will say nominal. Okay, does it have a balance? And your answer would be, I'm just going to make a column here. Always asking yourself that account, does it have a balance? Income and sales? No, doesn't have a balance. Salaries, does it have a balance? No, it doesn't have a balance. Does wages have a balance? No, doesn't have a balance. Every month it's a different amount. If I look at my electricity, does it have a balance? No, because I didn't buy it. I didn't agree to anything. It comes every month, a new electricity bill. I never know where it's going to be. And when it comes, I have to pay it, whether I like it or not. So I hope that makes sense to you. Thank you for your time. Any questions under the comments or the community tab, liaise with me. You're welcome to ask me questions and we can work through it. I am available for those that want to have training within your company, or if you're starting a new business and you need advice. I do charge a fee, so just speak with me. I don't do hourly rates. I have a look at something and I quote you, so you know exactly what you're getting before I come. And then I look at your information when I'm there. Is it reliable? Did I get the right information? So I will sit down, look at your stuff, and work out a quote for you according to what I see. I always ask, send me your information so I can see what's going on. And if you don't want to send me your private information, I come to your office and we sort it out from there. I am with Sage Online, so it's very simple. If you want me to do your bookkeeping, I do Sage Online, taking you to balance sheet stage. I love small and medium. I'm not focusing on the large client, the large companies. Only small. I prefer the small ones, the startups, and the medium ones. That's good for me. And then I have auditors that I refer you to. If you've got your own auditor, if you need auditors, that is what will happen. If you're sole proprietor, speak to me as well. And there are fees that they charge. They will give you a quote, what they charge every 6 months for provisional tax. So that everything that I do goes to them, they work it out, and we work together with a good price for our clients. Thank you. God bless you. Take care. My name is Esther Bardenos. You want to get hold of me, hopetraininghub@gmail.com. You'll see it on the screen. Take care. I love sharing my talents and my gifts with the world. I love sharing my talents and my gifts to the world. You'll see a link at the end of this video where you can go to my other channel where it's more the spiritual, prophetic prayer word building people up in our nation and nations around. God bless you. Send this to somebody that needs it. And those that are not doing bookkeeping in their business, please remember, it is vitally important to keep your place in order. And as I close off, I want to read Proverbs to you. The rich rules over the poor. It will be Proverbs 22 verse 7. So, and the borrower is servant to the lender. When you borrow money from somebody, you're a servant to the person that lent it to you. So try not to have too much debt. And if you do, it must be something that will build your business, but you need to make an income to pay that off. Don't go into debt where you know that you are lying and saying you can afford it, but you can't, because you're not going to sleep. Have a good night or a day wherever you are. Blessings, Esther Bardenos. Thank you.